Greetings, my noble knights. It is I, Blaze Templar, and um, I do apologize for the lack of content over the last several days. I've been actually waiting for the draft to finish, which finally has happened. And what draft do I speak of? I naturally speak of the Delta Battle League. And we are, once again, the coaches of the Nebraska Noiverns. This time we are a full seasonal coach. And we have some interesting battles in the upcoming weeks against like the New York Metagrosses, the Aston Valamphoros. That is an interesting name. Austin Tauruses, Boston Booziels, Minnesota Marienas, Chicago Cup Chews, a bye week, Gotham Goldbats, Austin Taurus again, Wisconsin Dust Noir, the Minnesota Marienas, Colorado Mammoth Swines, and then the Gotham Goldbats. So we have an interesting schedule coming up. Now, the one thing I do want to mention is I kept on wanting to get a dark type, but the dark types I kept going after kept getting sniped. And so, like, I wanted Crocodile, that got sniped. I wanted something from Tier 3, that got sniped too. Then the Tier 5 one I wanted, which was a Lowland Persian, that got sniped. So I picked up some other things and wasn't quite satisfied. So I have made one change through free agency. I'm going to be down to 2 right away, which is unfortunate, but it is an important change. And that is our Tier 4 pick, which was Wheezing. We're going to swap that out for Spirit Tomb, which that'll mean we'll have a Dark and a Ghost type. This time, I decided to do something a little different. There are some kind of standard Pokemon, like the Volcanion and Flygon. Those are kind of standard to see in a league. Toxicroak, not so much, but I liked what it was able to do last season when I was taking over for a team, and it really was a great Pokemon to have. Regardless, let's keep moving on. There's a lot to cover today, and so our team is the Mega Diancie, Volcanion, Civilly. Not quite how that's pronounced, but we'll roll with it. Empoleon, Celebi, Flygon, Heracross, Roserade, Toxicroak, Weezing, which will be Spiritomb, and then Pikachu. Now, I will explain why I decided on Spiritomb over Sableye. I know Sableye gets Prankster, which is an amazing ability. I love that ability on Sableye, even though I hate facing it. But the thing is, Spiritomb has 2 forms of priority in Sucker Punch and Shadow Sneak. It also has a really nice, versatile special moveset. Has Calm Mind. It can do things like Trick, and it has a number of options. It has Infiltrator, which means we can bypass subs. It has a lot of options, and it has the bulk to actually take a hit from a Klefki, which is something that my team would really struggle with otherwise. So Spiritomb, despite being weak to Dazzling Gleam or Play Rough, which I've actually calced for both, max HP is more than enough to survive either one, Modest or Adamant. So I've set it up so it can cover both bases, and it lets me know if I have to deal with a special Klefki or a physical Klefki as an example. Obviously, it doesn't cover every situation, but I felt the versatility that Spiritomb offered. It's not as one-dimensional as Sableye. Sableye, you know what it's going to do. It's going to Will-O-Wisp. It's going to recover. It's going to foul play as its only attack. You know what it's going to do. It's going to abuse Prankster, and that's all it's going to really do. So all you have to do is use your own Dark type and shut it down completely. That being said, Spiritomb doesn't quite have that same predictability. And so I felt in this league format, being unpredictable is something that would be really nice. And Heracross looks on paper to be very predictable. Yeah, it's going to be a physical set. There's no arguing that. But what kind? Are we going to be Band? Are we going to be Scarf? Are we going to be running like a Swords Dance set? Are we going to like sub pass? There's a lot of things Heracross can do. And so, yeah. But, yeah, I should probably get into order instead of jumping around like this. So that's why I chose Spiritomb. I won't be going back to why we chose that later on, or why we sacrificed one of our free agencies for that. But let's get started. Our Mega Diancie. I really thought about going Mega Scissor. I could have, but I decided, you know what? I always like to run Mega Scissor. It's such a great Pokemon. It has a lot of versatility with Defog, Roost, offensive prowess with the Bullet Punch and all that. But I don't really want to be using that many Steel types this time around. I want to use something a little different. And so I decided, you know, Mega DNC was just released for the Sun and Moon metagame. I haven't used it since the IPL, so it's time to break out Mega DNC. And I haven't ever really used it in singles, but I'm sure with a base 160 attack on both sides and the 110 speed, it'll do some work. Plus Magic Bounce, always handy. Next, Volcanion. I wanted a water type and a fire type. Volcanion really fit the bill for both. Has great coverage with the Steam Eruption, Fire Blast combo, Earth Power. Can do Assault Vest. It can be Scarf. It can do a number of things. So not a bad choice. And I kind of want to see what I can do with it in a league setting that has a team that kind of, you know, a little more versatile than the one I had last time when I was taking over for a team. Next was Savali. Savali was a Pokemon that was decided on this league season by the entire Delta Battle League as a Tier 2 Pokemon, but with access to all of its types. So I was like, you know, I don't know how well this is going to work, but I want to find out. I want to see what I can get pulled off with Savali, so we'll roll with it. As you can see, this team is very experimental for me. I'm taking a lot of risks, but I'm hoping they pay off. And so that's kind of the mindset going. I'm going to be kind of higher risk, but hopefully higher reward in turn. Now, Empoleon, this is a Pokemon I have always loved. It has so many different sets that actually are surprisingly effective. Everyone's like, it's a special wall of Defog, maybe Stealth Rock, Ice Beam, Toxic. That's all it really does. But it actually has quite a wide move pool. It actually has access to Sword Stance, so you can actually run like in a Aqua Jetting set. You can run Knockoff. You can run a physically defensive set, which actually takes hits better than people would think. I think I've taken a Scarf Darmanitan, Earthquake a couple times with it and survived, so pretty cool. It's a Pokemon, has a lot more versatility than people realize, and that's why I chose it. Next, I decided I really need something to help deal with the ground weakness I've got going, and I don't really want to go a flying type right now, maybe a little bit later in the draft, and so I went, let's go Celebi. Celebi, it's grass typing, really nice, and Psychic, also nice, kind of helps deal with the a number of weaknesses that my team was starting to show. And it's a nice special / physical wall. Plus, you can like do Leech Seed, U-turn shenanigans, all sorts of things. And so Celebi kind of fit the bill there. I can Baton Pass. Yeah, it also has Recover. So, and it just was one of those Pokemon that would act as like a defensive pivot for me, and I really wanted something like that. Plus, it can actually do some pretty offensive things like Leaf Storm, so forth and so on. So I was like, you know, I think Celebi is kind of underrated in League format, as it does have a lot of options. So we'll give it a try. Next is Flygon. I've really not had an opportunity to try Dragon Dance Flygon. And I really want to do that. And with the team I have currently, injury hazards aren't particularly problematic to me. And so I could run a fully offensive Flygon a lot of weeks and not worry about it. Plus, it has Levitate, so we can bypass the ground problem that we had going before. It gives us some options. And after a Dragon Dance, base 100 speed Flygon, pretty hard outspeed. Then we could even do like the Z Crystal on it. I don't know who's going to be our Z Mon. And actually, I'd have to look and see if we actually are doing Z Pokemon. this season. I don't know. I'll have to double check. I think we're okay with that, though. Regardless, we'll keep moving on. Heracross, again, kind of went over this, so I'm going to skip. Next was Roserade. I wanted something that could absorb toxic spikes just in case Mega Dancy wasn't able to be there, or I didn't predict the toxic spikes to bounce back. So Roserade kind of fits that bill pretty nicely, plus it has great special defense. Surprisingly, it gets Technician. I didn't realize this, but it does. So it can actually run a viable hidden power set and be pretty potent there. Has nice special attack, okay speed, so it's got the versatility going for it. It could be especially defensive, it could be especially offensive, it could be spike stacking, toxic spike stacking. It really does it all in that regard. And it is a second grass type, which I'm not usually too fond of getting multiple grass types, but I just was looking at it and went, yeah, Roserade kind of fits the bill. And then we went to our next, which was originally going to be something completely different, but unfortunately the Pokemon I wanted to get was sniped again. So I decided Toxicroak, as it can do a physical or a special offensive set. Dry Skin also gives some free switch-ins to water moves. And then it can also run Anticipation for prediction. Like, oh, in comes the Psychic or Flying attack or whatever. Gives me a little idea what to expect from a Pokemon. And so it gives some options there. And with Sucker Punch, you have priority, or Vacuum Wave if you're going to be special. Again, that's viable on Toxicroak since it has Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. Not a lot of Pokemon benefit from both. And last season, I don't even think I realized it got Nasty Plot, but it does. But last and not least is definitely my most gutsy pick. By far the most gutsy pick, Pikachu. Now, I could have gone Raichu. I think it would have been just standard Raichu. But I decided, you know what? We're going to go with the little electric Pikachu and see what we can do with it. It has priority and extreme speed. It has a bunch of other moves you can run, like through the cosplay Pikachu when you move it over. I'm sure you can do that. We're going to actually check that real quick. Oops. Oh, those are apparently banned. Okay, so you can't use the bell forms and stuff. I guess they're locked to Oris, but that's okay. It still gives you quite a number of options. And like the Alolan Pikachu has a better attack stat by like 5, so I'll have to check with them, but oh, never mind. It doesn't. It just looked that way. But regardless, there are some interesting things you can do with Pikachu, and we can always run the hatch just for the fun of it if we decide we want to run static for whatever reason. But at any rate, Pikachu, just the light ball. I wanted to mess around with something a little more daring than most league drafters would, and I think it might pay off. It has actually pretty good coverage with like Brick Break, Extreme Speed, Volt Tackle, Volt Switch. I mean, it can go physical, special. It has Encore. It can be a really annoying Pokemon. And I actually have seen Pikachu work pretty well at times. I've used Pikachu pretty decently a few times, and so I went, you know what? We're going to go Pikachu. We're going to see what we can do with it. And hopefully we can do some winning with it. And so, yeah, we took a really risky play with the Pikachu. But here's hoping it pays off. The risk, and I'll admit it was a bit of a snap decision, but I didn't get the Tier 5 Pokemon I wanted, which was the Alolan Persian. So I was like, yeah, we're just going to go all out nuts with this decision and hope it pays off. And you'll notice a lot of the team is like that. We're going to hope it pays off, and we're going to do some kind of unusual things. And so that's why I did this way. I'm hoping it is an interesting season. Last time I did a league, I went on a Trick Room base team, which was based around bulk and hitting back even harder than I got hit with great bulk. Really quite hard to break down, but unfortunately it suffered from crits, and status really crippled it at times. Didn't care much about getting entry hazards on your side of the field, so whatever. But, you know, you learn. And so, yeah, if I was to rebuild that team, it would have been kind of similar, but not quite the same. Regardless, that's the team. A focus on having a few priority users, a lot of attack power in like Heracross, versatility in Savali, Toxicroak, Spiritomb, Roserade, Pikachu. Versatility and power is kind of what I went for this time, with a little bit of bulk in like Celebi and Polion, Spiritomb again, and Roserade in particular. Volcanion can be pretty bulky too, so don't count it out. But I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I think this is kind of a strange mismatch of insanity, which hopefully pays off. So, yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Later.